Welcome back to the Banking on Digital Growth podcast. I'm J.R. Lay, and today my co-host Derik Krauss and I are going to dive deep into the rise of AI agents, what they are, why they matter, and how AI agents are reshaping the financial services landscape faster than many financial brand leaders realize. Just like I wrote and predicted in my book, Banking on Change, we're not in just a period of change. We are in a period of exponential change that will continue to reshape, that will continue to transform how consumers shop for, how consumers buy financial products. But first, if you are curious to see how your financial brand, how your bank, how your credit union stacks up in AI search results, text me right now, 832-240-1922. That's because my friends over at Paraloom want to help you track. They want to help you analyze. They want to help you optimize your financial brand's visibility in the age of AI by giving you a free AI search benchmark assessment. Now let's get into the show with Derik. Derik, let's talk authority today, and not from a authoritarian perspective.
But yeah, we talked about recently, we don't like authoritarians.
No. I'm gonna pause on that. I grew up in a very authoritarian household that I've had to do some work with myself. So we're gonna pause. We're gonna go on the ranking side, and a lot of that is why I am the way I am. It's why I'm an entrepreneur. It's why I probably have always historically pushed back on authority. Just as a kid, yeah, we did have that conversation. But let's talk about authority when it comes to the shift of behavior. Of how people are searching for, we did discuss this in a previous conversation recently, but how people are searching for financial services. You mentioned the Semrush report, but then also too, I mean, this is breaking news coming out of OpenAI and what was, I think once was fantasy. Because I remember a couple of years ago, Google came out and they were demoing the ability for their quote unquote, back in the day, their AI agent, to go and book an appointment at I think it was a hair salon or something like that. And I remember showing that at some of the keynotes that I was doing, and it was, people laughed it off like, oh, that's like science fiction. And here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. What's going on with the OpenAI news? Let's open up with that.
Yeah. So they just released yesterday an agent tool. So they're just calling it ChatGPT agent. So when you're in ChatGPT, you've got the different tools that you can choose from. Like they've got Canvas, they've got deep research, they've got image generation. Well, there's a new one called agent mode. And the reason that it has potential to be a game changer is that it takes a couple of different functionalities that they had at the beginning of the year and combines them and makes them even more capable and more widely accessible. So earlier this year, they released Operator, and you had to have a pro account, pay $200 a month to use Operator. I've used it a little bit, but the idea of Operator is that it was a ChatGPT interface where it has its own browser, so it can go and use websites the way that a human does. And in my experience using it, it did some things pretty well and other things not as well, but it was mind-blowing to think that you can just say something, give AI some task to do on a website, and it would use its own browser and go and do it, and you could watch it doing it. So that was Operator. And again, it was only available on pro accounts, and most people are not paying $200 per month. So it wasn't widely available. And then they have this other tool called Deep Research, where AI will go and spend 10 to 30 minutes researching a topic and come back with very detailed research reports. And essentially what they've done now is they've combined the functionality of Operator to have its own browser and use websites with Deep Research to find really good information. They've put those together to make Agent. And now together, it's better than either of those things are separately. And the reason it's a game changer, potentially, I mean, it just came out yesterday, right? So we need to see exactly how it pans out, but it's it's clear that what it is doing is it's opening the door for people not on the pro account. You just have to have any sort of paid account, so plus or team as well, and you can now give AI a task to do something, and beyond just getting information and researching it, it can actually accomplish tasks for you. So let's real quickly make that tangible for financial institutions. That means someone could say, "Hey, ChatGPT, where can I get the best auto loan in Salt Lake City?" It would go and find all the best places to get an auto loan based on rate, based on how easy it is to apply, etc. Great. Now I can say, perfect. I want to apply with this credit union or this bank. Go do the application for me.
Mm.
So
So
yeah,
I want to roll back on this because this whole idea of an agent might be a bit foreign for some watching or listening. They might have heard it. It's something too that you brought to light in our last conversation. You were talking with someone and you used the acronym LLM, large
hmm
language model. And so because it is still early in this age of AI, um, the word agent could be confusing.
mm,
So I just want to pause and roll that back.
yeah,
What does that mean? Because when I hear the word agent, and I pulled up a couple of keynotes that I've done, some slide decks from keynotes I've done literally this year, and one of them was back in March, and I used it was a bit of a meme, but it was from when the word agent, because I was talking about this in March. I was started talking about agents back in November, October of 2024. In some of the strategic planning sessions that I was kicking off or facilitating. And one of the memes was from The Matrix. Um, and
okay, Agent Smith.
Agent
Yeah,
Smith, right. When I hear the word agent, I think about Agent Smith from The Matrix. And
yeah.
so the meme is never send a human to do a machine's job. And I think we're in, it's like, dude,
Yeah, yeah, that's a great quote for today.
was the Matrix was the Matrix nothing more than a documentary or perhaps a prophecy of where we are?
uh,
Because the Matrix came out, I believe it was 1999 or 2000. I gotta Google.
I I don't remember.
I think this is where we should, if gosh, if Audrey could just chime in and provide that contextual overlay. Hey Audrey, I don't know. Can you hop on? Can you give us some context of is it 1999 or 2000? Audrey Audrey
Here we
says it was
go.
1999. So what is that? 20
26 years
20
ago.
years ago. So 2024, it was 25, it was a quarter of a century. So here we are now. Yeah, we got Agent Smith, never send a human to do a machine's job. Machines are now doing the jobs of people when it comes to the agents of like ChatGPTs are talking. So let's just pause, roll back. What do you mean by agent?
Yeah, just someone that acts on your behalf in some way. So you think about, imagine you're a movie star, right? You've got an agent, or you like playing basketball, so you get drafted by the Houston Rockets tomorrow. You're going to have an agent that acts on your behalf with, you know, signing deals and helping you to handle things. So,
Well, another point of agent or agency, the word like travel agent,
mhm,
um, or marketing agencies, advertising agencies, they were acting on the behalf of brands to go out and buy ads on their behalf.
right. Yep.
So I just want to set some context of this idea of an agent, whether it's a travel agent going out and booking the travel for you, the advertising agency going out and facilitating the deals for ad buys for you, or in the case of pro sports, once again, you play basketball. I never got an agent, but negotiating the deals on your behalf so that all you have to do is just focus on the game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So now, and this is really the thing that's when you think about what AI is doing, uh, think about it this way. So we've talked in the past that I'm a fan of economists, and one of my favorite economists, probably my favorite economist, is Milton Friedman. And Milton Friedman talks about how the beauty of what has happened economically in the United States and around the world in the last couple hundred years is that it's taken things that were used to only be possible for the ultra rich and made them available for the common man. And so, like uh, he talks about how in ancient times it was hard for people to get water.
Mm.
That was a common problem, but very rich people didn't have a big problem with that because they had servants that would go and get the water for them, and whenever they wanted water, a servant would bring them water. They didn't need to go fetch it themselves, or many other types of examples. So today, before AI, most individuals did not have agents. Only people that were very, very wealthy, like a celebrity, either in the entertainment business or in a star athlete, they have agents to act on their behalf. But now AI is making it so that anyone in the world that has a computer or smartphone can use ChatGPT, and now they have an agent, an artificial and intelligent entity that can go and do things for them. So now everyone's got an agent.
Well, I think it's interesting when I look at the headline from the release with ChatGPT. It it notes bridging research and action, and you were talking about that before, the bridging, if you will, of operator and deep research. But I think the other
Hmm.
important point, I was writing about this in Banking on Change and framing a mental model around, in the age of AI, there will be a need, an ever increasing need, that you're going to have to ACT, for growth. So the A stands for awareness, which comes from learning and thinking, i.e., research. The T stands for the transformation, which is where you have to do and then review your progress. But to bridge the gap between essentially the research and the outcome, it's the C, which is the commitment to take action.
Mm.
So I think about financial brands a lot of times. They have awareness of knowledge, insight, research, information, but they're failing to take action. And as a result, they fail to transform.
Hmm.
Now you add this perspective of an agent and the shift of consumer behavior, as we were talking about before. Semrush is predicting that by 2028, if not before, so we got about an 18-month horizon or less of
Two and a half, like 2.5 years, right?
see, I can't do math.
2028.
I gotta get my
Oh, you're
agent
good.
to, I gotta get my
But they
agent
did,
to do math.
but they did say or much sooner.
Okay.
So very, very well, very well. They said 2028 or sooner. So I think
I
saying
like
18 to 36 months is probably accurate.
yeah,
So,
let's increase the sense of urgency here. And the reason being is because I think it's like Bill Gates has said, we under we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in a decade. And I think when we add the contextual layer of artificial intelligence and now the agent world becoming a reality, because once again, it's like I pulled up some of these decks from before in one of my slides. It says, well, what could change over the next 5 to 10 years? It was a thought question to start a conversation. And then my next slide was AI will commoditize knowledge and experiences like never before. So when you think about the idea of UX, user experience, and we're both coming from a background of user experience, now there's a whole other type of experience that I wasn't even thinking about. I mean, even in banking on digital growth, I wrote DX plus HX equals growth, or HX plus DX equals growth, meaning a human experience combined with the digital experience equals growth. And then in banking on change, I wrote EX plus HX times DX equals growth, meaning a positive employee experience when combined with a positive human experience, it can then be further multiplied by a digital experience. Now we have a whole other experience, and so we got to be thinking about as we move forward into this not age of AI, but this age of agents, where we're shifting from the past, which has been the big conversation, and we've talked about this, like Gen AI, generative AI, and now the shift is going to move from Gen AI to AI agents. And it's like the time that we're talking about these shifts is compressing. What's the difference between Gen AI and an AI agent?
That's a good question. I think the main difference is an agent being able to take action on its own. So, like Gen AI, you're giving it inputs, and it's taking those inputs and doing something with it. But an agent has the ability to be more autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
You can give it a goal, and then, like with ChatGPT agent, you give it a goal, and it now has the ability. So let's go back to what we were talking about. I tell it to go and apply for a loan, or to go open an account, and without me having to walk it step by step through that, it can go out to a website, start the application, put in any information that it knows about me, come back and ask me for any information it's missing. I give it that info, and it continues on. I think the way to distinguish it is an agent becomes more autonomous.
There's I'm going through this deck here, and one of the things I shared in a strategic planning session last year was a video, Project Sid, and Project Sid was simulations of 1,000 truly autonomous agents. And I think, and I'll text this to you. I think you'll enjoy watching this, thinking about just like economies and politics. So they had these 1,000 plus truly autonomous agents collaborating in a virtual world with emergent economy, culture, religion, and government. And so it was almost like it was game theory, essentially. And so they would throw in different variables, and it was wild to watch. And I think it was Minecraft worlds is what they were simulating this in, which comes back to my point of the matrix in simulation theory. But to not go down that rabbit hole, which I could go down very quickly and have a lot of fun.
Next episode.
Next episode. Yeah, exactly. That was the Dr. Dre next episode. You mentioned basketball too, and I could not help but think, growing up and playing a lot of basketball. You remember it's like basketball is life shirts?
I think so.
There were those, and then the other big one was it was purple. It was a white shirt. It said purple. And it said focus. It was like kind of like blurry, but it said focus, and then in small words on the game, and it had like little basketball or football, or if you played sports.
I don't remember that one, but
90s.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. So coming back to the agents, I think about a lot of the challenges, and we've discussed some of them, and we've surfaced them from 1,200 plus website secret shopping studies. It's like, how do you secret shop a web digital experience from the lens of an agent now. Like that's a
Yes.
whole different way of thinking of like no longer will we have humans applying for or opening an accounts. We'll also have agents taking, and it might not be next week, but
Sure.
in the years and probably sooner than we think now, knowing with the exponentiality, what must a financial brand leader be thinking about now to prepare for that shift? Just like we talked about the shift before, the behavior shifting from Google search to AI search. Well, this is a completely different thing. Like we're not even searching anything. We're just in letting the agent act on our behalf to go achieve a task that we ask it to achieve for us.
Yeah. Two things come to mind right away that they need to be thinking about. The first is first you have to be found by AI. So if someone's looking for a solution like an auto loan or a checking account, and someone goes to ChatGPT and they ask, where can I get the best auto loan? And you don't show up and your competitors show up, then you are invisible. You have to be visible to AI. And here's what's interesting is I've heard some people say, oh, well, if you show up in the Google search results, you're good. You're going to show up in the AI results too. But I have seen some research that supports that if you're showing up in Google, then you've got a good chance of showing up in AI. But I've also seen contrary research. And one of the best studies I've seen recently was actually put out by an SEO company, an SEO giant called Semrush, where they found in their data that ChatGPT surfaces results 90% of the time. The results that it's surfacing come from pages that are ranked low on Google, that are ranked 21 plus. So
wow, it's like 2 pages back.
Yeah, 2 or 3 pages back and beyond.
Right.
90% of the results. So just because you're showing up on the first page and even the top of the first page doesn't mean you're going to show up in AI results. So that's the first thing that comes to mind.
But let's just pause on that point for a bit, because even if historically, and I think about some of the financial brands that we have guided and advised over the years, and by applying the methodologies, and a lot of they were content driven methods, meaning that they were committed to creating and publishing content on a multiple times per week basis, highly localized. The problem though is now, even with the Google search, just because you rank in the top 1, 2, or 3 spots, well, what's above all of that? Well, the very first thing that you're seeing is the AI generated response, which may or may not be what's in the top 1, 2, or 3 slots there. That's number one. Then you have the ads that go underneath that. So it's a great point that you're surfacing, because I think there's just because you rank well, perhaps currently, does not necessarily mean that success you've had historically is going to be what guides you forward.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned the AI overviews, and that's assuming someone even goes to Google in the first place. Like the most used AI tool is ChatGPT. So a lot of people aren't even going to Google at all to search. So in those cases, really what AI is looking for, it doesn't really care if you're ranked number 1 or not. What it cares about is, my human asked a question, where can I find the best answer to their question? And there's a lot of content on the internet, and it's surfacing information from sources that are not ranked high on Google most of the time, 90% of the time. So that's interesting, very interesting. The second point is, you were talking about user experience, digital experience, human experience. And I think a new term we need to be thinking about is, instead of UX, user experience, AIX, artificial intelligence experience. So it's no longer just about the experience that humans have on your website, but the experience that AI has on your website. Because if a human says, go and apply for an auto loan for me, they say that to their agent, and the AI then goes to your website and tries to apply, but it can't because your site is not technically set up in a way that AI is able to work with it, then what are the chances that the person's going to end up applying there versus the next guy that has an experience that is compatible with AI? And to your point, I, I don't think it's going to happen today or tomorrow or next week that most people start applying for loans and accounts with AI, but it is coming. It's definitely coming.
Well, you think about it's these shifts of behavior. They're slow until they're fast, and once they hit that exponential curve, then it's like, wow, where did that come from? I think about Perplexity, and we've discussed this before, the integration with
Yeah.
Shopify, and how as Shopify gets further integrated and that experience of buying through through AI,
Right.
that shifts the whole perspective there as well. Um, I want to start to wrap up so that we don't go down too far down the rabbit hole. Think about Morgan Freeman. He has his down the rabbit hole show. Uh, what what can we do to begin to prepare for the? We talked about this a little bit last time, but it was from the context of the shift of human behavior moving from Google search to AI search. We're taking this even a step further of not just Google search to AI search, but now AI agents acting on behalf of members for credit unions, prospective account holders for banks. I can just think of all of the friction and the complexity that have tripped humans up of going through an application process that you know they abandon. And you think about the abandonment rates being 60 to 85%. You've got a leaky cart problem. But then on the flip side, you look at what's going on like in the fintech space, Chime, very, it reduces the friction exponentially. It's like, would an agent and perhaps the model of the LLM be trained over time to go that path because it is the path of least resistance? So the path of resistance don't even become the possible path for a community to be even in the consideration state of AIX, artificial intelligence experience. I like the way you frame that.
Yeah. Well, I think the reality is that no one fully knows yet how you build out the ideal web experience for AI. I think the key for now is to be thinking about that and to recognize it and get familiar with it yourself. Like, go and use ChatGPT agent and see what it can do and start thinking about that for your website. And uh, I think one very tangible thing that financial institutions need to do is when they're thinking about their websites and AI's ability to find and interact with your website, is that you've got to start budgeting for that. You've got to start allocating dollars to getting yourself visible by AI and allocating dollars to figuring out how do we make the experience compatible with these AI agents. And we're coming up on budgeting season. And so going into this next year, I think if you're not allocating dollars toward that, you're making a huge mistake because uh, financial institutions when it comes to spending money on things, are not very nimble. It goes in like 1 year cycles where it's like, oh, we'd really like to do that, but it's not in our budget for this year, so we've got to wait until next year to do it. I think if you get a year behind with what's going on with AI, honestly, like you're probably toast. Like I don't know how with how rapidly it's changing the landscape. Like if you don't budget anything to be AI compatible going into this next year, I mean, what do you think? Like, could they recover from that?
That's a really great point that I've not thought about myself, but as you're talking, I think, for example, if we gave an alliteration to this, Interstellar, the movie,
Mm.
um, they go to that planet, and it took me forever to watch Interstellar, and it was on a plane. And that's typically where I watch films, and I'm very picky. Like I watched Gladiator 2 on a plane, thinking that Gladiator 1 is a great film, enjoyed it, whatnot. Russell Crowe is yeah. Gladiator 2, even on a plane, I was like, can I get my 2 hours back? Because that was a horrible, horrible film.
uh,
But Interstellar, watching on a plane, I was like, that was really interesting. It made me kind of
I
think,
liked
and
it. Yeah.
what I did too, and I'm very mindful of the media that I consume for a variety of reasons. And it does come back to my theory that the mind is the most important technology that we have to master in the age of AI. But Interstellar, they go to the planet, and that one planet, it was like every hour on that planet, I think was a year. There was some sort of like
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah, because of gravity.
Yeah, and it was like every hour on the planet it was 10 years, or it was some
Right.
variation.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so what you're bringing, it's almost like an interstellar principle here.
Mm.
And even too, I think Hans Zimmer did the composing for Interstellar. And one of the things when they were on that planet, every tick was a day. Like they had like this like metronome in the
Mm.
background, and it was like every tick of the metronome in the background was a day ticking off over the course of that year or 10 years or whatever it was. So I thought it was
Yeah.
even
That's
the music.
crazy.
But you're right. If you're not budgeting to have some sort of flex, we'll call it an AI flex or an AI adaption in your quote unquote annual budget, which is archaic at this point. The idea
True.
of the annual budget is just gone. You need to, and this is why in Banking on Change, I put forth the idea of a 90-day year to where every 90 days of time is like a year. Because if you think about every 90 days, there's 12 months in a year. There's not 12 months and 90 days. It's actually 13. So you get a bonus week. If we're going to look at that as a comparison, but you're right. If you're 1 year behind and saying, you know what, we can't do this because it's not in this year's budget, you just lost a decade. That's
Yeah,
it.
with how fast AI is accelerating, if you don't do anything for a year,
You lost a decade.
yeah.
1 year in the age of AI equals a decade pre-AI. And that's a very hard concept, I understand, for people to wrap their minds around. But this gets back into like when you think about, and you mentioned the innovator's dilemma multiple times, but I think about like, well, what can you do? What like I want people to leave here with something that they can do. And because we're
Hmm.
talking budgets, 70-20-10. 70-20-10 from an innovation budget cycle, meaning 70% of your budget is dedicated to the core activities. 20% is innovating on the adjacent, like improving those. But 10% is like skunk works. 10% that's a blue sky. And it's some sort of future focused. You're probably going to lose money in that 10%, but you're not losing. And I think that's the reframe. That's a learning budget
Hmm.
that you're able to then apply back into the 70% or into the 20% to then get an exponential lift over the next 12, 24, 36 months. But you're right. 1 year in the age of AI equals a real decade of progress. We
Yeah,
might
so
not
I
be there yet, but we're going to be there soon.
I'd say first thing when you think about AI and the impact it's going to have on a financial institution, specifically from a marketing perspective, we've talked about AI enabling actions, and that's coming, but that's still in development. The thing at this point that is concrete is that people are using AI to search for things, and people are starting to go to AI instead of going to Google. And like we've talked about with the Semrush study and other studies that are out there,
Mhm.
AI search is on track to overtake Google search within the next 2.5 years or sooner. And
Yeah.
so what is concrete is you can measure today how often your brand is showing up in AI responses. So that's exactly why we ended up building this tool Paraloom. We wanted to get ahead of the game. And so if you want to see your AI visibility, then you can go to paraloom.ai or text me and I'll help you get started with it. 661-979-9395. That's a great place to start. You got to start somewhere. And as you begin to figure it out, you'll also figure out what actions mean for you and what AIX ultimately means for the financial institution.
I like that AIX. I'm going to give that some additional thought because that's a new mental model right there that I don't have real clarity on, but I do think it's something that we all need to be considering. And it comes back to first and foremost getting perspective, getting a benchmark of where you are today in this agentic web, in this not age of AI, but this age of AI agents, where we're probably gonna, think back about to Agent Smith, and you don't want to send a human to do a machine's job, and there'll be a lot of things that we're going to be able to elevate. That we once find annoying, frustrating. We're going to be able to elevate those activities to AI agents within the months and years to come. So, yeah, this has been a good one, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, same.
All right. Well, we'll see you very soon on the next show. Until next time. If today's conversation helped you level up your thinking about AI agents, send me a text right now, 832-240-1922. That's because I want to send you a free AI benchmark report from my friends at Paraloom, who can help you track, they can help you analyze, they can help you optimize your visibility and AI search results so that you can level up your loan and deposit growth.